to SVG-TV News for Thursday, June 19th, 2025. I am Rochelle with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has raised serious concerns about what he describes as unequal trade arrangements within the Caribbean community CARICOM, which he argues disproportionately favor larger member states to the detriment of smaller economies like St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speaking at the 77th meeting of the OECS Authority held at Sandals Resort in St. Vincent, Dr. Gonsalves, who recently assumed the chairmanship of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Authority, called out Trinidad and Tobago as what he referred to as uneven beneficiary of regional trade.
It is evident that the trading arrangements of CARICOM have benefited the member states with a larger territorial and economic base, particularly in respect of manufacturing commodities. And the comparatively cheaper energy resource in Trinidad and Tobago has additionally made that country's manufacturing sector the uneven beneficiary from CARICOM's trade in commodities. Indeed, prior to the OECS member states signing on to the CARICOM Single Market and Economy of the Revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, the OECS conducted an authoritative economic study which confirmed that the CARICOM arrangements disadvantaged the OECS manufacturing sector.
One of the key issues highlighted by Prime Minister Gonsalves was the difficulty faced by local traders in dealing with the Trinidad and Tobago dollar, which he said poses a significant barrier to fair trade.
Undoubtedly, the producers in Trinidad and Tobago want to take over the entire flour market in the Eastern Caribbean. We in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will draw a line in the sand on this. Secondly, the foreign exchange control arrangements in Trinidad and Tobago have conspired to reduce to near nothingness a hitherto US $12 to $15 million annual trade in agricultural exports from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This injustice has caused manifest material difficulties to farmers and agro-traders in my country.
The Prime Minister added that St. Vincent and the Grenadines agricultural producers have been feeling the squeeze due to the currency exchange, noting that it is unfair and ridiculous.
Our country pays Trinidad and Tobago annually in excess of US $65 million. We pay in hard foreign currency for visible exports from Trinidad, mainly petroleum products and manufactured goods. But our sister CARICOM country cannot find less than a miserly $4 million US in foreign exchange to pay for our agricultural products. This is absolutely unfair and ridiculous. Our traders are paid in Trinidad and Tobago dollars, which are not convertible outside of Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad, they have to use the money to buy goods in Trinidad if they want to make some money on the back end. If they bring up the Trinidad and Tobago money, it may as well they bring up monopoly money.
In addition to trade inequities, Dr. Gonsalves also expressed frustration over Trinidad and Tobago's failure to fully honor financial obligations stemming from the collapse of Colonial Life Insurance Company CLICO on an agreement struck in the aftermath of the CLICO financial crisis. Trinidad and Tobago committed to paying $1 million to compensate affected Vincentian policyholders. According to the Prime Minister, to date only $64 million has been paid, and that last payment was received a full decade ago. He noted that people are still waiting, and this lack of follow-through raises serious questions about commitment to regional solidarity. And with 4 OECS countries reportedly facing a possible U.S. visa ban, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia and current opposition leader of the United Workers' Party, Alan Chaste, has expressed concern that the matter was not addressed during the recent OECS Authority meeting. The countries reportedly listed by the U.S. State Department are Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia, all of which operate citizenship by investment programs. Speaking at a New Democratic Party news conference on Wednesday, Chastney reaffirmed his support for the CBI programs, but said he also understands the U.S. government's call for greater assurances and credible vetting of applicants. He criticized regional leaders for their lack of a unified approach on the issue, noting that more collaboration and consistency are needed across the OECS.
And I think that Doc said something, and I want to reiterate it. This is a very serious matter in which the leaders of this region are treating all of us with disdain and disrespect. And they're playing with the livelihoods. And yesterday would have been a great opportunity to have been with the leaders of the opposition and themselves in light of what is taking place to resolve this issue. This is serious. So I want to reiterate, the CIP program is a great program and my party supports it. But it must be run properly. And we cannot allow persons who are in this region and who we are tied together through the Bastille Treaty to jeopardize the rights of the citizens of St. Lucia. And I think that every leader has that same obligation to say that.
Chastney also proposed that going forward, the OECS should take collective control over the management of the citizenship by investment programs to ensure uniform standards and international compliance.
That if we were to get back into government, we would insist that this program be run out of the OECS Secretariat. Why? So that there's one program. Because we think that the competition between the individual countries to sell passports is overwhelming, and they have not been able to contain themselves. And there's been discounting, there's been bad actors, there's maladministration, there's pure corruption that's been taking place that is now causing our visa-free access of our normal citizens to be threatened. The reality is, if it does go in to the OECS level, St. Vincent now, who has not obtained any money from CIP, would be in a position to do so. That is something, and I know that Doc and I have discussed it, I think that his party has to delve deeper into that, whether they want to operate their own national program. But I personally believe right now, even before the elections, that the OECS is going to have to make a decision. And even if it is to say for the next 5 years to have it run out of the OECS Secretariat until we can get it straightened out.
The 4 countries reportedly flagged by the U.S. have not yet received any official communication from the U.S. State Department regarding the visa ban threat. And opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday has expressed his support for the idea of having the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, serve as the oversight body for the Citizenship by Investment CBI program. The proposal for original management of the CBI program was first suggested by former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Alan Chastney, amid growing international scrutiny over how the program is operated in several OECS countries. Dr. Friday said a unified approach would not only enhance transparency and credibility, but also ensure that all OECS member states benefit equally from the program.
I said that from very early as to what the modalities are. We have to, do that by way of negotiation. But obviously, we have to have better coordination and control as to how the program is managed in the OECS. The OECS is a common economic space. We are operating as one economic platform. And the notion that somehow one country competes against another as a race to the bottom, that doesn't help anybody. So what I advocated earlier on, I think Alan has gone a bit further than I had, but he has more experience with the operation of the program than I have. But the point is that we have to have a program that is beyond reproach when it comes to its integrity. Mm-hmm. It's better to do it from the regional level where you have oversight, where I know that the central bank, the governor, of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank has made very positive statements about it as to how that is going to be the role that the bank would play in ensuring greater accountability and transparency of the program, and that is all to be welcomed.
The Citizenship by Investment program has become a key topic of debate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with a clear divide between the government and the opposition. Dr. Friday has publicly declared his support for the CBI program, arguing that it can provide critical economic opportunities if managed properly. In contrast, Prime Minister Dr. Raul Gonzalez has repeatedly stated his opposition to the initiative, citing concerns over a national security, sovereignty, and the potential for misuse. In other local news now, we hear that with just a few weeks remaining before the anniversary of Hurricane Beryl, the opposition New Democratic Party is planning a relief distribution drive next week for citizens affected by the storm, particularly those in the southern Grenadines. The announcement was made by opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday during a news conference held on Wednesday. Dr. Friday stated that support for affected communities has been ongoing since the hurricane devastated parts of the country last year, and the upcoming initiative is part of the party's continued commitment to helping those still in need.
A considerable amount based on what we have, the resources we have received from friends and donors across the region. We have given out many school supplies, and especially in the southern Grenadines, and food supplies in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane. On the anniversary, as it's coming up, we had also made an appeal for persons to continue to contribute on a continuing basis to the relief effort and the rebuilding effort that is going on. So we are going to make contributions to persons in the school system to essentially help them to get ready for when they return to school, the classes in September. We are going to do that next week to assist those persons with the resources that we have collected. I mean, we did not reach the target, of course, that we hoped for immediately, but we are continuing to appeal to our friends abroad, domestically here, to continue to contribute. And whatever is contributed goes to helping those persons who were affected. So
Hurricane Beryl, a powerful Category 4 storm, made landfall in St. Vincent and Grenadines on July 1st, 2024, leaving widespread damage to homes, infrastructure, and livelihoods. A Men's Empowerment Business Symposium organized by the Center for Enterprise Development, Inc. CD, was held here today as part of the Technical Assistance for Men's Employment and Entrepreneurship Development, the TAMIDA project. The event was held under the theme Power in Connection, Collaborating and Networking for Men's Business Growth, and brought together participants of the TAMID project, innovators, entrepreneurs, financial institutions, and business support agencies to address challenges and explore solutions affecting the micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, sector in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The goal of the symposium was to unlock opportunities for business scaling, enhance operational efficiency, and promote a long-term financial sustainability. Delivering remarks at the event held at the Kingston Baptist Church, Minister of Finance, Economic Development, and Information Technology, Camilla Gonzalez, commended the CD for its continued work in advancing business opportunities and entrepreneurship throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I don't think they get the credit that they deserve, but they've been working very, very hard to ensure that entrepreneurs, that business people, that people with the germ of an idea can develop that idea into a meaningful and profitable and enriching business. And so congrats to Mrs. Lewis and the entire team for the hard work that they have done. And of course, gratitude to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the work that they are doing in this particular program, which is important. All the best intentions still need a little oxygen to make things happen, and we're very grateful for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in that regard.
The minister noted that in recent years, the government made a deliberate decision to prioritize private sector development with a specific focus on entrepreneurial support.
If you look at the history of not only St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but most governments in the region, the idea of business support has been on the large end of businesses. So we want to have incentive packages for the big businesses to come in and establish themselves, and we want to give concessions to the large businesses, the hotels and the supermarkets and the quote-unquote established businesses. And there was not sufficient emphasis on developing the entrepreneurial private sector. So the spirit of entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurial spirit in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the Caribbean, not just in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is not where we thought it would be or should be in the furtherance of the development of a dynamic economy. So when you went into the schools and you spoke to young people, they would say, look, I want to get my subjects, I want to get my degree, I want to get a job with the government. You know, that's sort of the get a good work. And not enough people saying, my dream is to start my business.
Gonzalez further highlighted the importance of innovation and enterprise in driving real economic growth, encouraging young people to embrace entrepreneurship.
It is fine for what government is, but government is a large institution and they generally don't drive entrepreneurial activity and innovation and growth in new sectors. So we did extensive studies, particularly with youth entrepreneurs, because we wanted to find out how do we get young people to think about being an entrepreneur, to think about starting their own business, to make that leap, because it's a risk, and every business person here knows that it's a risk to start your own business. It may fail, and very often they do fail. Businesses that, startup businesses don't have the best success rate. And each one of you who's still at it and is succeeding, it's almost a miracle, because many more fail than succeed. But we wanted to create that sense in young people especially, that if your business fails, you are not a failure. That you should take lessons out of that and move to your next business.
Minister of Housing, Youth and Sports, Rhonda Brewster, in his address at the Men's Empowerment Business Symposium, praised the Center for Enterprise Development, CED, for its efforts toward the development and empowerment of young men in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I'm happy that she mentioned that I was once the Minister of National Mobilization. I held that portfolio for quite some time, and gender affairs fell under that portfolio. And I remember I had many meetings with my staff there at the ministry, and I would hear all the time women's empowerment. And excuse me, ladies, I'm not being sexist or biased in any way, but I always wondered, I said, what are we doing for our young men and our boys? And before I left, I think they had started a MEND program, which was very informative. It was a program that was needed, and they targeted young men at the secondary school age. But this morning, I'm happy that we are talking about strategic investment for innovation and sustainable business growth. And I don't know, there's just a feeling sometimes that some of our young men, they're not pushing into the innovative sector and the business sector as it relates to starting startups and entrepreneurships.
Minister Brewster acknowledged that there appears to be a lack of motivation among some young men when it comes to starting their own businesses. However, he emphasized that numerous institutions and resources are available to support them and encourage them to take full advantage of these opportunities.
There's always a reliance on government, and the Minister of Finance is here, I know. There's always this reliance that, I have to get into the government system. I want to be in the government system. But some of the most successful persons, they started from the entrepreneurial level. and built themselves up. And we have many men here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are sterling example. And we have here in the audience as well, persons who built themselves up strategically in order to see a better outlook for themselves and their families. Now, it is also important that we get in line with what is happening currently or the trends. And now on the market, my kids now, they're probably a little bit more tech savvy than I am. You know, there's a new thing with AI. I was so amazed when my daughter said to me, Daddy, you know you can punch into AI a business that you're looking to start up, and they would give you a list of all of the things that you would need to get this startup going. So there are mechanisms and there are avenues for young men for you to start, and innovation is one of the aspects that you can use to propel yourself if you are interested in developing your businesses.
Also delivering remarks at the opening ceremony was General Manager of the CED, Ronette Lewis, who reaffirmed the organization's commitment to strengthening the micro, small, and medium enterprises MSME sector. The feature address was delivered by Dr. Julian Ferdinand, a lecturer, author, and business consultant, who spoke on the symposium theme, Power in Connection, Collaborating and Networking for Men's Business Growth. Following the opening ceremony, a panel discussion was held under the topic Strategic Investment for Innovation and Sustainable Business Growth. The symposium formed part of the ongoing TAMID project, the Technical Assistance for Men's Employment and Entrepreneurship Development, which aims to provide men with the tools and support needed to succeed in business and drive economic transformation. Vincentian-born author Maxine Cabral is poised to spark meaningful conversations with the release of her debut book, 17 Months and a Secret, a deeply personal and introspective memoir that pulls back the curtain on her marriage and life journey. We hear more on a book in this report.
This raw and honest account, Cabral shares the emotional highs and lows of her experience in a way that many readers may find relatable and inspiring. Now residing in the United States, Cabral is set to officially launch the book on Friday, June 20th at Peace Memorial Hall, starting at 6 p.m. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Cabral said the book isn't just for married couples.
So is it for couples only, or can someone who isn't in a relationship also read it to have like a sense of stuff to look out for?
Yes, it's absolutely for any and everyone. As long as we're humans, as long as we're in any form of relationships, as long as we're living on this earth, there are struggles that we have, whether individually, whether it's with someone else, whether it's on the job, whatever it may be. And this book speaks to everyone at some point. So there is something in it no matter what. So it's not just for married couples. It just so happened that we're married. That's how we shared our story, because that was our experience. But a lot of the people who have read my book and have reached out to me are not married. But they were inspired by our story, and it helped them and has given them the strength that they needed to follow through. Even some had given up on certain things, and one lady said to me, you know, I had forgotten about this, I had given up on this, but I'm starting to pray again about it. So things like that is very inspiring to anyone.
She also added that the memo also serves as a guide offering principles and instructions on how to love, support, and stand by someone through challenging times.
Okay, and what can we get from reading your book?
What you're going to get are instructions, not that it's limited in the sense that this is all you can do, but you will be able to see how you can love someone even while you're going through your own pain, help someone while you're going through your own hurt. You'll be able you can be inspired. There are a few Bible verses and things that we held on to that helped us to keep our marriage together. And those are principles, because God's word never fails. And those are principles that anyone can hold on to through anything. And by reading the book and based on the reviews that I've gotten and those who have spoken to me, it has been an eye-opener. It has helped others to feel now a freedom to speak about their struggles, because it has now given them a voice. Here is someone who they can relate to, who is not afraid and ashamed to share their story with the world.
Cabral describes the memo as a raw insight into her own marriage, emphasizing that while the content is deeply personal, the lessons within are universal.
But what's great about the book is that I wrote it in such a way that is raw, is authentic, is vulnerable. I hardly held anything back. And what's great about the book is that it's not just a book for married people, but it's for anyone who has any struggle that they have been dealing with, that they're afraid to speak about because of guilt, because of shame, because of their concerns of what others are going to think. And so with this book, through love, forgiveness, understanding, patience, and exercising the faith that we have as Christians, we were able to get through our struggles, and now we were instructed by the Holy Spirit to write about our story, that we can help others who may be in similar situations or any other situation that help is needed.
Cabral invites the public to attend the launch and be a part of what she promises will be an evening of reflection, healing, and inspiration. Rishona Williams for SVG-TV News.